in brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power. Green Lantern's light. What's happening? I finally remembered why I fight. And why, whatever price I have to pay, I'm okay with it. Maybe the Guardians made the right choice by making me a Green Lantern. But killing you isn't the way.
John!
Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode. And from that intro, don't you just love that intro? From that intro, you obviously know we're about to talk about the Green Lantern, specifically the Green Lantern show. That was specifically, or initially, supposed to be on Max, but is now been picked up by HBO. Now, I know this is a little bit confusing because for a long time I thought it was HBO Max. But apparently there are two different entities now. There's HBO and Max. And initially, DC and Warner Brothers actually wanted a huge part of their DC content, especially when it came to shows, right? To be on Max. But apparently they're going to diversify and allow not only Max and HBO, but also other different studios or networks to carry their content. And with the Green Lantern show specifically, HBO picked it up. And they actually picked up 8 episodes. And it's going to be really cool. From everything I've read, they're actually going to incorporate a huge part of what we love about the Green Lantern. And by the way, before I even dive deeper, if you're unfamiliar with that initial video, the intro video, it's actually from a movie, The Green Lantern, that came out 2 years ago. And it basically focused on John Stewart and his ascendance, right? His growth, his acceptance of being a Green Lantern. And because he initially fought it, he actually didn't want to be a Green Lantern, but you follow his growth, and it's a really, really good animated show. If you haven't seen it, I think it's actually on Max, if you can find it on Max. But it was really cool because you got to see Hal Jordan as well in that particular movie, but in a different way. He actually succumbed to this evil, which is actually called the parallax effect. And it was really good to see John Stewart and Hal Jordan, but at the same time fighting, right? Because Hal Jordan is basically considered one of the, especially in the comics, one of the greatest Green Lanterns ever. So it was actually really cool to see those two guys go head to head. So if you haven't seen it, go find it. Trust me, you will not regret it. But as far as the show, it's going to actually feature these two characters, John Stewart and Hal Jordan. Now, in the show, Hal Jordan will be a seasoned veteran Green Lantern. And then he'll be taking on John Stewart as this rookie, right? That's what I've read. And they're going off on a mission somewhere out in space, trying to protect whatever sector they've been assigned from evil. Now, they haven't really shared a lot, and obviously they're not going to right now because they have to write it. All of this has to come up, and so they're just in the initial process of, they haven't even finished casting, so a lot of news, a lot of things, a lot of updates are going to be coming down the pipeline, and I'll be here to share it with you. But I just love the fact that we're getting this, right? I mean, because it's been so long. I mean, we had Ryan Reynolds initially, I think it was 2011, that he was a Green Lantern, and he actually played Green Lantern very well. I love the fact that Ryan Reynolds actually incorporates a lot of humor, right? But it actually worked. The only difference is the story sucked, right? The story really sucked, and I've covered it before. He looked like Hal Jordan. He moved and talked, and you know, he had a really nice suit, but the CGI, especially in his face, I mean, that it was awful. I mean, they should have done better, but it didn't suck just because of that. It sucked because of the story, right? Um, the director took a lot of liberties in that movie, and funny enough, that was actually supposed to be the initial start of the DCEU, right? Because if you remember, a year later, Man of Steel came out, but that movie, it was killed not only by the critics, the fans just hated it. And again, it wasn't because of bad acting. It was just a story. The story sucked. So we never got to see Green Lantern again. You know, you were robbed of seeing Green Lantern in the movies, and the studio was very adamant they didn't want, especially in the DCEU. I mean, if they would have allowed it, I mean, Zack Snyder actually had a scene at the end of his Justice League movie where we were supposed to see John Stewart as a Green Lantern. But the studio basically said, oh, hell no. And I don't know why they were so adamant. I don't know if they feel like he was just kryptonite to the studio, but trust me, Zack Snyder would have done him justice. He would have brought something really good to the character if they would have allowed him to. Because remember in that movie in the beginning when you see that scene where they were fighting Darkseid when he was younger, right? You saw Green Lantern who got killed by Darkseid, but it was 5 seconds, right? But there was no story, there was no context. Well, the context was the fight, but we haven't really seen the Green Lanterns, and you cannot have the Justice League without Green Lanterns, right? So coming into the DC universe with James Gunn, I'm happy that he's actually allowed this, because now him and Peter Safran being in charge of DC, they're deciding everything that comes with DC moving forward, right? It's not Warner Brothers. Now it's DC as its own standalone studio with two heads who are basically spearheading where DC is going. And I love the fact that they've allowed the Green Lanterns to finally appear. So I'm excited. And again, I keep saying this, they have no choice but to come up and create something good. Because like I said yesterday when I talked about the new suits, Superman suit that we saw, if they come up with horrible content, well, that probably is the end of DC for a minute. Now, we're not sure when they will actually start shooting, but I do know that we're going to get Guy Gardner in Superman Legacy. Guy Gardner is a Green Lantern, and he's actually going to make appearance in Superman Legacy, the first initial movie in the DCU, right? That James Gunn is currently right now shooting, right? I've never really been a huge fan of Guy Gardner because he's always been that fumbly, bumbly Green Lantern, right? But he's kind of cool in a weird way. Kind of reminds me of Shazam. You know, this is a grown adult. Sometimes acts like a kid, but it's gonna be cool to see actually how he is portrayed in James Gunn's Superman Legacy, which also means, because you can't have Guy Gardner without Hal Jordan and John Stewart, because he came after, right? So which means John Stewart and Hal Jordan already exist in the universe. I guess we'll just get to see them later. Anyway, that's just a few updates on the Green Lantern show that's coming up. Like and subscribe. Tell me in the comments if you're actually thrilled as a fan. Are you thrilled to see exactly what's coming up with this show? Are you thrilled about the fact that we're finally getting Green Lanterns appearing in DC, especially live action? I am. I hope you are. Anyway, I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.